Coffee makes me crazy, so crazy, so crazy. Coffee makes me crazy, but now I'm feeling lazy. Hi, welcome to the Road to 40. I'm Jason Oliveira, in case you didn't know. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so we're just going to dive in. All right, first and foremost, somebody actually challenged me to this whole ALS thing. Now, if you go back a few videos, I talked about this. In the beginning, I wasn't against supporting ALS. I was against these videos because I felt like most people weren't even talking about ALS. They were just making an ass out of themselves on the internet. Yeah. So, now that I've been challenged by Nick Castanis, you can go back and watch the episode with Nick if you'd like. One of the best episodes. The other one with his brother was just as fantastic. Chris. I'm going to have them both on. I'm calling you guys out. I challenge you to both come on the show. Let's do something crazy together. So, yeah. Of course, you know me well enough to know that I'm, of course, not going to let this challenge go by. And I'll have some... I also would like to issue a challenge to a few people. But we'll get to that. I don't want to make it... It's got to be special. It can't just be like, hey, here's the Ice Bucket Challenge. Whee! You know me. I can't just do that. So I have an idea. At high noon tomorrow, I plan on recording it. We'll see how it goes, and hopefully I'll have it up by tomorrow night. Actually, I'll probably have it up tomorrow evening if I can actually record it. ALS, I mean, it's a beautiful thing that it's raised this much money. I almost feel like at this point it's time to turn our attention to another disease or another an uncurable thing. What is like AIDS? What is AIDS? What is cancer? What do you call it? It's not a disease. A disease? No, it's not a disease. It's the other one. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to linger on it because I feel like a fool now. Damned fool. In love with you. Where to go first tonight? So many places to go. First of all, I want to tell you guys, you should come back for the next video tonight. Why? Because it marks the return of what's on the menu tonight. That's right. I'm not going to tell you what it is. If you want to check it out, come back, see the next video. I'm not uber looking forward to it, but I think it's going to go well. This is a three-parter tonight. Not three-part video. 3 questions. I realize this is kind of the direction that the show is going in, asking myself questions. Of course, I'm still doing, I'm trying to do, I'll get back to Throwback Thursdays and What If Wednesdays. But tonight, the first question led to a second question, which led to a third question. So the first one was, I saw an article on MSNBC about self-driving Google cars, and right now they require them to have a steering wheel and pedals or something, but that's going to go away. That's about all I got to say about this. You'll understand after the next 2 questions. So, here's, I started thinking about technological advances, and, well, let me ask you the third question so you can think about it. What advances in technology will we see in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and 100 years? I said this before, but now that I've kind of invested a little bit of time in it, I want to revisit it. So, self-driving cars. That's what made me think of that question. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 15 to 20 years we start seeing more and more of them. Certainly, I think we should be seeing more hybrids, or at least electric cars, or cars that run on hydrogen, or something. I expect to see those advances if the man doesn't destroy what little is left to our humanity here in the United States. I'm not saying for the rest of the world. I think self-driving cars make sense, especially because they only go a certain speed limit. I'm sure they'll increase that over the years. Second, it's like, what could go wrong? Of course, a lot could go wrong. But with the advances in technology, with solar technology, with hydrogen, with the batteries getting smaller and smaller, and memory getting smaller and smaller, like, there's no reason why and I kid you not, well, tomorrow technically, but within 10 years, we could have cars that we charge via USB just like we charge our phones and everything else. It's that easy. No, it's not? Somebody's making too much money. Huh. Who in the car world makes a shit ton of money? Is it the rubber company? Well, I'm sure they make some decent money. Oh, it's Big Oil. That's right. We must crush them completely. So, like John before him, this Jesus must die. I love Superstar. I got to meet Jesus once. Well, not the Jesus, but we're not going to get into that. Ted Neely, one of my favorite vocalists of all time. Jesus in the old Superstar, the movie. Not the Brown record. That was Ian... other guy. So then I started thinking about USB in cars, and I thought, why do we still have electric outlets? If everything can be charged and run off of USB, why don't we start transitioning over to a world that doesn't have electrical outlets, where people can get electrocuted, where they cause fires? We have to pay huge, enormous electric bills. Oh, that's why. Big Oil. Oil and electricity companies. Maybe I'm just crazy. Am I crazy? Oh, I know I'm crazy, but am I crazy? Crazy like a fox? Crazy like peanut butter and something that peanut butter doesn't go with? Think about that. Okay, so yeah, the USB, I think that's a major technological advance we will see within the next 5 to 10 years. I remember, obviously, I've talked about the House of Tomorrow in the 50s and the 60s. They would often show these videos with this guy talking like this. And in the House of Tomorrow, you will be able to land your flying car right on your roof. And like, they showed you like it from 1950. Well, actually, I think these were from the 70s, but they were meant to look like the 50s. You'll know what I mean. Look them up. If I remember, I'll put a link at 6 minutes and 40 seconds. 6 minutes. I think I've linked this before, actually. House of Tomorrow. That was a good video. Spidergate Cemetery is a good video if you have never seen that one. I'm going to be prepared to be called out for the ALS challenge, many of my viewers. Or at least one in particular. Or two. Might be two. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. So 5 to 10 years, I see these minor jumps. Seems like the major jumps only come every quarter of a century. Like, something like, well, alright. You go from radio to black and white TV. You go from, Morse code to landlines. You go from black and white TV to color TV to flat panel TV to, 4K, 3D, ultra high definition. You know what I mean? Like, it's sped up a lot, but it probably sped up for the people in the 40s, 50s, 30s, 20s. It doesn't matter. Whatever generation you're in, but from the time you're born to the time you die, it's on average maybe, 75, 78 years? That's a long time for technology to move forward. And now that it's gaining speed, I don't think there's a stopping to it. I just hope we find a proper place for using all our dicks and digital technology. Pardon my français. 1, 2, 3. Frère Jacques. I don't know French. I just know those songs and those words. That's about it. Alright. Let's jump forward 20 years in the future. It's 2034, 2035. What do video games look like? How do you play video games? I know this is just touching on one little part of technology, but seriously, like, I can't begin to imagine. Because I think about 30 years ago, when I was just a wee whippersnapper, I don't even think Nintendo was out. It was still the Atari 2600 or 5200, I think, came out. And then the Jaguar? I can't remember. Yeah, Jaguar and then Nintendo, if I'm not mistaken. I like video games. I like watching people play video games. I love it. I wish I could sit and critique somebody as they played, or make fun of them, or push their buttons. That would be fun. Maybe we could do that. That'd be a fun show. A little segment. I'll have a few people over. I know a lot of my friends are playing that Destiny beta. I've tried to, but I'm just not good at video games. But I know what I like about video games. I know what makes a good video game. I know what makes a bad video game. What's my point? I don't know. 30 years ago, we were looking at Pong. We were looking at Atari 2600. All these old systems with, 4-bit, 8-bit. I'm not even 8-bit, 4-bit, I'd have to say, because Nintendo was the 8-bit system, the NES. So I look how I was playing video games then. That's all I could do. I can move things up, down, left, right, and one button. I don't even think you could go diagonal. And at the peak of its capabilities, like, was Pitfall, maybe. Because you could run, you could jump, you could go down ladders, you could do... Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of games for the Atari that you could do stuff like that with. That just... To me, that stands out. And it was an earlier game, which is kind of interesting. Nonetheless, 30 years in the future, video games, I imagine, are played all motion, or mental. There are things now that you can purchase on the market to, I believe there's a remote with very minor capabilities, if I'm not mistaken. It was designed by a kid whose grandmother couldn't press the buttons on the remote anymore, and he found an old heart monitor thing, the ones you can go to the store and stick your arm in, but it's kind of gross because everyone else has stuck their arm in it, and some people are sweaty. dirty and sweaty. One of those machines, they were throwing it away, so he took all the parts from it and he built her this thing where she could think about moving the channels up and down, the volume up and down, and turning the power on and off. And so I think you can actually buy that now. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's to me, that's amazing. Now, when we get to the point where we don't even need that, that'll be a different story. I think voice activation and home automation is going to be huge by then. I think you're going to see automatic windows in houses so you can clean them easier. Everything's going to run off of solar, I'm hoping, and everything will be USB ports or whatever the technology is at the time there. We'll probably unify to one port at some point where it charges and you can hook up anything to it. You know, your Blu-ray player, or who knows what the hell it is at the time. Everything's going to be networked at that point. I imagine walls will start being built with LED screens for those who can afford it. I believe we will start to have something on our phones, an app or something, or at that point it might even just be in our bodies, a chip or something, that when we come home, everything knows by the day, the hour, the week, the minute, the month, the season, the year, exactly how you like your house to be at that time of year. I think we could get to that point. Should we? I don't know. Seems like a waste of money and time. Would I like to have something like that? That'd be awesome. You could change your walls to be mountains. I don't know. Not like it really in the mountains, but at that point they'll probably have fans that'll blow on you and birds that chirp all around you. Imagine the speaker systems, how surround sound will be in 20 years. Speakers, I imagine, will be all completely wireless, probably built into houses. You'll probably have an entertainment room that's fairly standard. And you can obviously customize these, but I can see that happening in 20 years. All these houses, you build them online, they drop it where you want them to drop it. And it'll be done like Legos. I mean, strong Legos, really strong Legos, but I think that's where we're going to get to with building and that kind of technology. What do you think? I don't know. Anywho, it's a good day today. Practice this morning went really well again. We just did covers, because if we do play a club soon, there's this one up in Brookneal, then I definitely want to be able to throw some stuff at people that they know, because the last year and a half or two, all we've done is written our own music, which is a beautiful thing. It's my favorite part of playing music, is writing music. But when you go to play a club around here, especially in some of the backwoods places, you want to make sure you're white. Probably want to cover up my tattoos, not have fingernail polish on. Like, there are places like that here. This would be the first one we've played, though. We usually play some really nice places, but from what I understand, there's some real shady areas to go play clubs in Virginia, not just here in Lynchburg. Yeah. I'm going to bring you back in just a few minutes if you'd like to come back and join me a little further on down the road. Right up at that corner up there. I'm going to take a right. I'll wait for you. Actually, I'm not going to wait for you. I'm going to do it, and you'll just have to catch up. No, I'm just kidding. That's terrible. I don't mean that. Yeah, we'll come back and do What's on the Menu Tonight. What's on the menu tonight? Yeah. Is that pretty good? You going with that one? I'd like to do an intro for that show. It's fun to do that in Premiere. And it keeps my skills so sharp, like a ninja's blade. Because if I don't do that for a while, I forget how to do the most simple of tasks. And now that I've been using it a little bit more, my nipple is terribly chafed, and I don't know why. No, it's not. That's all I got. Oh yeah, look at this picture before we go. What do you think of this? This is these rough sketches I've been doing for Brad. I haven't showed you one in a while. Actually, this is one of my least favorite, and I know I have to shrink his head down a little bit because he looks like a goddamn gorilla. But it's page 13. That's all I can say. But I am learning to love, and I've said it before, but if any of you guys are artists out there that are new to the channel, buy yourself a Pentek Slicci, I believe, SLICCI, the finest point. I think this is a .25. This is like sketching with a pencil, a really sharp pencil all the time. It lets you get that fine of a detail. I need to get 1,000 million of these. Well, maybe not that many, because I couldn't go through that many, but a lot of these. Try them out. If you like drawing, sketching, inking, these things are awesome. .25, black. Black as the night, sir. How about that Simpsons marathon? I couldn't do it. I wish I could. I'd love to watch all the episodes. I love that show. Good times. Grew up with that show. Well, later in life. Don't forget to make somebody smile tomorrow. If you're loving these, please subscribe and pass them along to anybody who you know who might like these as well. Especially somebody who might be 39 going on 40. Make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today tomorrow. And let's make the world spin a little bit happier together. I'm Jason Oliveira. This is The Road to 40. Come back if you want to check out what's on the menu tonight. I think you'll be interested. It's interesting. It's different. It's not the best I've ever done, but I just hope they're not as bad as they sound, because it's an odd flavor. Alright, you guys have a great night. I'll see you either on the next video or a little bit further on down the road to 40.